Hello everyone! Today you're going to learn about end punctuation and some of the differences of its use in English and Spanish. Enjoy the video! To start, we need to know the definition. So, end punctuation is the punctuation at the conclusion of a sentence. It tells the reader how to interpret each sentence. There are three types of end punctuation: period, question mark, and exclamation point.
Let's check the first one. Period. The period is a small dot-shaped punctuation mark that is used at the end of any sentence that is intended to make a statement. But how I'm going to use it? We use the period in 5 different situations. The first one is at the end of a statement sentence. Let's check the example. This class takes place every Wednesday. The second situation is at the end of a sentence with instructions or commands. For example, upload first-term grades before September the 11th. The third situation is at the end of a sentence with an indirect question. For example, teacher Paola asked how your day is going. The fourth situation is with abbreviations, such as in Bogota, BC. And finally, periods can be used at the end of phrases that are not full sentences, although you won't usually do this in business or formal writing. For example, I like to break my writing up, for effect. Now let's check some common mistakes when using periods. The first one is adding period after a question or exclamation mark. Remember they are end of punctuation too. For example, have you ever tried sushi? There is no need to add a period after the question mark. The second mistake is that despite acronyms are abbreviations, they don't usually require periods. If you're using an acronym that is pronounced as a word, you don't need to insert periods between the letters. If you're using an acronym that is pronounced by speaking the letters individually, you may or may not need to use periods between the letters. Let's check. In a Colombian context, ICBF, or FBI, NBA, USA, or UNICEF. Another mistake is adding period after abbreviations. For example, I was born in the USA. There's no need to add another period after the period of the abbreviation. The fourth mistake is placing a period inside a closing parenthesis when a sentence ends with a parenthetical that is only part of a larger sentence. The period should be placed outside the closing parenthesis. For example, it's finally cat month, in parenthesis, August, period. And finally, the period usually goes inside closing quotation marks. So let's analyze the use of period in this example. He said, we need to tell the boss right away. She reported that the boss was, in her words, miffed.
The main difference in the use of the point lies in its current use in English, given the tendency of this language not to make the articulation of discourse so explicit, compared to Spanish. In Spanish, the period usually indicates a pause or separation. The relationship is usually expressed with other signs, such as commas and semicolons. Now take the time to read the following examples. In many cases, English uses a period before conjunctions, adverbs, or phrases, where Castilian opts more easily for a less marked pause. In numerical quantities written with figures, the two languages use opposite systems of notations, since the period is used in English to indicate decimals and the point is used in the apostrophe for the units of 1,000 and a million. In Spanish, the practice is the reverse.
Question mark. Definition and examples. A question mark is a punctuation symbol placed at the end of a sentence or phrase to indicate a direct question, as in, for example, she asked, "Are you happy to be home?" The question mark is also called an interrogation point note of interrogation or question point. To understand the question mark and its use, it is helpful to know that in grammar, a question is a type of sentence expressed in a form that requires or appears to require an answer, also known as an interrogative sentence. A question, which ends with a question mark, is generally distinguished from a sentence that makes a statement, delivers a command, or expresses an exclamation. Now let's talk about some of the differences between the question mark in Spanish and the question mark in English. In Spanish, question marks are used at the beginning and at the end of a question. If a sentence contains more than a question, the question marks frame the question when the question part comes at the end of the sentence, as you can check in the examples on the screen. Si no te gusta la comida, ¿por qué la comes? If you don't like the food, why are you eating it? Furthermore, only the last four words from the question, and thus the inverted question mark, comes near the middle of the sentence. ¿Por qué la comes si no te gusta la comida? Why are you eating the food if you don't like it? Those are the main differences between the question mark in Spanish and the question mark in English.
Now let's check the use of exclamation point. The exclamation point, also sometimes referred to as the exclamation mark, especially in British English, indicates surprise or strong emotions. This can also be used with sentences that make sharp comments. Let's check some examples. The house is huge. The speaker in this sentence is indicating astonishment, surprise, or excitement. Next example. Rachel, leave the dog alone. The speaker in this sentence is making a sharp, direct command. Also, a sentence ending in an exclamation mark may represent an exclamation or an interjection. For example, wow, boo, or an imperative stop. Now let's check some differences. In Spanish, exclamation points are used at the beginning and at the end of an exclamation. At the beginning, they are called upside down exclamation point. These are also sometimes used for direct commands, or it can appear in the middle of a sentence to indicate that a phrase is exclamatory. Please take some time to read the examples.
Okay, we have three different conclusions here. The first one is that we have three types of end punctuation signs, but all of them represent the conclusion of a sentence or a phrase. The second one is that in English, the period sign is used way more since the language is not too explicit, while in Spanish, it's more used to represent a pause. The last one, but not least, it's placing two end punctuation signs at the end of a phrase. It's really common, but it's a big mistake since one of them already represents the end of a sentence or a phrase. To end this video, we would like to share with you this simple activity. It will take just 2 minutes, and it's to match the end punctuation sign with the correct use. So you can just see it, you just have to match, and that's all. Thank you so much for watching the video.